Good morning, everyone. Oh, what is happening to the webcams? Sorry, technical issues. Here we are. Good morning, everyone. How are you guys doing? What's going on?
Hello.
Welcome to episode 12 of Merchants of Novigrad, a bi-weekly podcast where we discuss everything went. Today with me are my two co-hosts, Tia Beastie and Ville, who's apparently lost again. And as you guys can see, we have a very special guest, one of the most prolific content creators and a very talented competitive player, MissLadyJay. What's going on?
Hello. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, but before we actually start, a few words to our viewers, guys. If you have any questions, you can ask them in chat. Thea is gonna collect the more interesting ones, and we're gonna try to answer them as we go. Also, if you want to stay in touch off stream, you can follow us on Twitter at Novigrad Podcast, and if you would rather watch or listen to this episode afterwards, it's gonna be uploaded on YouTube, Spotify, and a couple of other platforms in a couple of hours. So with that being said, what have you been up to, girls?
Been playing Gwent this past week. Been trying to climb. Still need to play seasonal. And yeah, then been playing other games such as Divinity.
Divinity?
Oh, that's cool.
Original Sin 2, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those RPGs that I always wanted to play and never had the time for.
Oh yeah, you need a lot of... I think we have like 80 hours in it and we're only halfway.
Yeah, because I'm a huge
Yes.
Baldur's Gate fan. I'm not sure if you ever played Baldur's Gate, but it's a very similar
No,
game,
I
except
haven't.
much older. So, and Divinity is one of those games that kind of look like Baldur's Gate, except in a more modern cover. And yeah, how are you doing?
I am fine. It's very odd that my cam is not working as it should today, so I apologize. People will be listening to my voice this time.
It's
At
fine.
least
It's
Villa
fine.
makes up for it, you know. His picture's very clear today, I see. Yeah, and I've been playing some Gwent. I've been focusing more on The Witcher 3. Have a bit of a contest going with Lionheart to see who can finish the game on Death March first. So far, I am winning, so that's all you need to know about that.
Imagine not winning against Lionheart.
Exactly.
One thing I wanted to ask is load shedding, because it's a major source of problems when it comes to content creation. So how does it
Yeah.
affect your life?
Well, streaming live, you have to plan around that. We have a schedule every day when they announce it. Then you have to plan around those hours. And yeah, then also it's during times where you have to make dinner. And it's like, okay, you have to get takeout that night. Or it's during the night, like 8 p.m. What do? You're going to sleep at 8 p.m. or wait till 11 p.m. until it comes back on?
Yeah,
That is-
exactly. It sucks. And it could be at inconvenient times, right? Like 8 o'clock to 10:30. So then you can't, like my mom would come home at 6 and we'd eat dinner then. Meaning I can't stream at all that night. I have to do it in the afternoon. So extremely inconvenience.
Mm-hmm.
And they change it like this, you know, there's no planning. They say it's stage 1 load shedding, and then it changes to stage 3 for no reason at all, meaning you now have at least 2 load shedding periods during the day, most likely in your area. So that's like 5 hours of no power at different periods of time. So very fun.
Or if it's like the extreme, it's like stage 6, then it's like 4 hours at a time.
Yeah, it's apocalypse then.
And
Need to go
it
then.
affects the podcast, especially
Yes.
this episode, because to explain to our viewers, you guys are from the same place in South Africa, Cape Town, except from 2 different zones. So you have load shedding at different times. So we actually had to schedule this episode around that, because we wanted to do it later, but later Jess would have no power, and the moment her power goes back on, Thea is gonna lose her power. So that was not an option either. So we had to move to the morning, which works for us, but not necessarily for Villa. He hasn't said anything yet. I hope he's doing fine.
Yeah, I think he's just a silent type, you know. I
Yeah.
think he's thinking a lot.
Yeah, he's from Finland. It makes sense.
Yeah. He'll start talking later, hopefully.
Oh yeah, definitely. Another thing, recently, couple of days ago, CTPR announced that there is gonna be a viewer party for the World Masters. Are you going?
No, I am not going, unfortunately. It's expensive to come from all the way from Africa to Europe, and especially like only 2 months in 1 month in advance. And then also I have visa restrictions because I've been to Europe in December and January, and then I'm gonna be back in June till September. So we only have a certain amount of days allowed in Europe per 6 months.
Yeah, that's very unfortunate.
That makes it difficult. But there's gonna be another opportunity to meet your favorite content creators and pro players, and that's TwitchCon.
It's the same reason.
And yeah, you can go for the same reason, but I know that Dia is planning to go.
Yes, well, I have not been in Europe for quite a few years now, so I am allowed to go, I'd say. I was planning on actually going to England first to visit some peeps, but it didn't work. No, well, I mean, who lives in England? I don't know. Probably some people. Anyway, so we'd go, and now the problem was I need 2 visas because of Brexit. In the past, you'd have 1 visa for the entire
or the EU, for the European Union.
Yeah, and now it's problematic, right? And it's not that simple to. It's not like hopping over from Amsterdam to where you want to be, right? I know a lot of people going to the TwitchCon, just driving over or walking to the place. Not as easy here, so yeah, that's difficult. But now I am going to Amsterdam, yes, for at least a week. Gonna tour a bit. Oh yeah, and MomCon is happening too. I don't know if you know about that, Weisenbach.
Definitely. Normally I don't go to events like that, like TwitchCon. I skipped it last year, but this time I'm afraid I don't have a choice. I live 30 minutes away from the venue, so people bullied me into going.
Yeah, I would too. You cannot deny that privilege.
I went last year. I recommend it.
There's actually a lot of people who are not going to the event specifically. They're just going to Amsterdam to meet other Gwent friends. And Villa,
awesome.
Villa, are you going to TwitchCon? Because the idea is all merchants of Novigrad at TwitchCon. We could take some photos. So Villa, no?
I don't think so.
Can you, Villa, please wink if you are in danger. Nothing. No, unfortunately.
He's not in danger. No, he didn't wink. He's fine.
But hopefully he's gonna go, because that would be like, there is that picture of the Novigrad expansion, where the all gang leaders are sitting at the table. So I was thinking remaking that on TwitchCon as merchants of Novigrad. That would be really nice.
Yeah, that would be awesome. How far is Villa? Oh yeah, you said he's in Sweden.
It's a 2-hour flight. It's a 2-hour flight to Amsterdam.
Okay.
It's not really that far. It's it's doable, but considering his age, he's 17. I'm not even sure if he's able to travel alone.
I see. Yeah, exactly. And he does need permission.
Isn't TwitchCon 18+? Because last year was 18.
Oh, nobody goes to TwitchCon. We're just gonna meet in Amsterdam.
Oh, just meet up.
Yeah, I think Tia is actually going to the... Yeah, Tia, you are actually going to the event, right?
I am. I'm going to both days of that event, yeah. And then afterwards, we're gonna hang out with Weevil. He's organizing a sort of EU Twitch group for Gwent, which is awesome. So we're going to meet up then with some Gwent players afterwards, and we're going to explore the town, I guess.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people coming. BJ, obviously, because he lives in the same country, but the whole Bandit gang crew, Bandit Pig and Driftbling and other people are coming. And they all said the event is not interesting for us. It's all about meeting other Gwent players.
I totally agree. I'm really just going to see what it's all about this time around.
And speaking of Gwent, a lot of new changes. Not specifically in terms of cards being changed, because there was no patch or a hotfix, but the snapshots are in. For a week now, there's been already some updates, I think. So the meta is not exactly what we imagined it would be. So what are your first thoughts upon seeing the TA and the TLG snapshot? Also, there is a snapshot from an Italian team that I did not have a chance of exploring. I think I saw a couple of interesting decks on that list, but I didn't really go through them. But yeah, guys, your first impressions of the snapshots and the meta.
Well, of course, Squirtle is tier 1 again with Harmony. And I see now Syndicate is also tier 1 with Blood Money.
Yeah.
Which no one actually really ever used before. And everyone thought that Great Swords was going to be OP. But I tried Great Swords too at the beginning. And it's just like everyone's targeting that deck. Everyone's controlling that deck. And it's just like, oh, you have to try and keep your Great Swords alive all the time. It's like, oh. So I gave up with that deck.
Yeah, it's problematic. At first, I had quite a good time with Skellige. But yeah, they just started targeting the Great Swords and Dagur, etc., etc. We even saw Osrel starting to consume some units in the graveyard instead of Eigen.
Really?
Which is
I saw Xavier.
Really interesting. Oh, really?
I faced Xavier a few times.
Yep.
That's insane. Yeah, so people were gunning for Skellige, which made it almost impossible to play. So that's interesting. And yeah, I saw Blood Money is very popular now. I wonder why, in all honesty. It did come out of nowhere, in my opinion.
I think when it comes to snapshots or meta reports, they often don't report the meta, they shape it. Like there probably is a lot of internal talk of what's good and what's not. They include it in their snapshot, and then people see it and start net decking it. And they the professional teams obviously base it on what their competitive players are doing. And there is no coincidence that the snapshots were originally released the day the first qualifier took place. They were holding on to that information for as long as they could to just not reveal it before the qualifiers to, I assume, have a better chance at winning.
Interesting theory. Could very well be.
Yeah, I don't know, because we are part of TRS and we don't do snapshots. So if somebody accuses us of spreading cancerous decks, well, not our problem. We don't do that. One thing that I was really surprised by is the lack of scenarios. I think the only two scenarios I've seen in the last couple of weeks are Siege and Passiflora.
I've seen a few of the Masquerade Ball. Just here and there, they playing that tactical decision deck with
the
poison.
Emir ability.
Yes.
For those who still hasn't caught up with the new names.
I mean, they did kind of make it more difficult to play some of the scenarios, at least, with example, Second Wind. So, yeah, it's interesting. It's also more easy to get an artifact removal into your deck for a 4-point bronze card, right? So it is interesting that people have stopped playing it. And perhaps, like you say, it's because of the meta decks that have been released that don't really promote it anymore.
Like, I know Horn's got a buff, but no one's using it now.
That is true, but nobody's really playing monsters either, except for, okay, well, not really, not in that way at least. There's a completely new combo going, but I think we'll be talking about that later, right?
You mean Glusty? Glusty has been around for a very long time. And I think it's the only semi-popular monster deck right now.
The one with, isn't it Imlerith, I think?
Yeah, Glusty runs Imlerith as well.
Oh, yes, I see what you mean.
Because they usually use Imlerith and similar cards and add a trigger to win round 1 or round 2, and then Glusty is the ultimate finisher in round 3. But yes, we are going to talk about that later. It's definitely on the list. Something Jess already mentioned, Harmony, tier 1 again. How do you feel about that? How do we feel about those green card backs being everywhere?
Sometimes it feels a bit, like, to me, a bit bland that keeps being tier 1 or top all the time. I just want another faction on top. and to overtake Squirtle for once.
Yeah, it's problematic.
One thing that
It's
Lionheart
very
mentioned in
problematic.
his stream yesterday was it's tier 1 not because it's so blatantly overtuned, but because it's just so easy to play. Compared to other factions, as a newer player, as a less experienced player, you can get to pro, or you can get like decent MMR scores in pro, play in Harmony without having no knowledge of Gwent whatsoever. Because the deck is just so simple to pilot, you just smash cards and get points.
Yeah, well.
Though it did get a little bit more complicated with Precision Strike. When it was Mystic Echo, it was much easier to play. Now you kind of have to do something. You have to at least think about when and how to use your leader ability. And you have to mulligan properly, which was not really the case before.
Yeah, no, that is true. And it's very easy to screw up if you draw the Broccolon cards too much. Very irritating, really.
Yeah, especially if you hold onto them until round 3. I've had a couple of games, because in my recent deck I play Vilgefortz and Tibor. Don't ask me why, I just do. And sometimes I will play against Harmony, and I know they have only 3-4 cards in their deck. So I just play Vilgefortz on something that's slightly bigger, and I screw up their leader combo. Because I just got one of those Dryads. But overall, yeah, I would definitely like to see something else on top. Like, I'm happy that Syndicate is there, because I think that Syndicate as a faction is complicated enough. It's complex enough to somehow justify it being tier 1. Because my idea of Gwent is, the more difficult the deck is to pilot, the better it should be. And Syndicate is notoriously difficult to play, because you have coins, you have other things you have to take care of and think about. So I don't mind it being there at all. But Harmony, on the other hand, as we already said, very easy to play. Just play your cards, get points.
Yeah, I totally agree. I do like Syndicate. I don't often play it, as I play late at night and I don't have the energy in me to do coin calculations. But I quite like that it takes some brains to be able to pull it off, and netdecking isn't going to help you do those quick calculations you need to win the game.
Yeah.
So I have quite a lot of respect for Syndicate, actually.
I also like Syndicate quite a bit.
But when talking about Harmony, do you guys think that the Mystic Echo nerf simply shows that it was not the leader ability that was the problem at Wilders of Brooklyn? Because now they just switch the leader ability to get the provisions, and they still play essentially the same deck.
I mean, I feel like it was problematic to begin with. It's just less problematic now. I think Waters of Broccolon were very strong cards, and they're still being played as strong cards, but now we can't use the Waters of Broccolon to get them out as quick, basically.
Yeah, we only got one time use, basically, instead of...
But I think that it shows that a Mystic Echo as a leader ability was not really that problematic. Because if you guys remember, before the Novigrad expansion and before Novigrad Injustice was a card, nobody really played Mystic Echo. And then people realized, oh, now you can replay the card and get 2 more engines in the same turn. And I think the first deck that was being played was Dwarves, because you could get 4 mercenaries in 1 turn. People were just holding on to Justice until round 3 to play it twice. And if you didn't have a way of addressing that card, it was game over. Because you had just 4 machine guns on the board. How do you kill them? How do you log them? What do you do about them?
Yeah, it's insane. It's really insane that it took that long to rectify that mistake. But still, it's interesting that they're trying to buff other factions rather than bring Squirtle down, as if Squirtle's not problematic, It's like that's what they want. They like what it is, and they'd rather change everything else just to keep it that way. I don't know why they are so biased, but it's very interesting.
I have my tinfoil hat theory that probably their data shows that Harmony is being popular among newer players. And newer players are those who spend money on Gwent. So you don't want to upset people who pay for the game. Because people just go to a meta snapshot, they see Harmony T1, easy to play, you can have a lot of fun, you're going to win a lot of games. And if you are a mobile player, you are also more likely to spend money on Gwent. So I think that's why they take a more toned down approach instead of just nerfing it to the ground.
I understand.
But obviously it's you know, almost a conspiracy theory. Like, I have no idea of proving that is actually the case. We would actually have to have someone from CDPR answer that question.
Oh yeah, that would be rather
okay, guys,
convenient.
Where's my phone? I'm just gonna call Buja. So yeah, that's Koyato. I haven't really seen that many elves. Some, but not that many.
Yeah,
I feel like the Harmony has just overtaken Koyato as a faction. Like, nobody's playing anything else. I haven't seen dwarves in ages.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. I think we still have cards that are just too strong. Like Isengrim. I mean, if you want that in your deck, right? So you want as many elves as you can possibly have.
And Venusiel.
Exactly. So I see no reason why you would not use those in your deck and build your entire deck around that combo going for you. So I can imagine it being like that for a while.
I think the reason why there might be fewer elves is most of these elves are 2-3 power. And you have Syndicate being tier 1, so, you know, 15 years in the sewers quickly takes care of all your elves on the board. Novigrad soldiers are somewhat popular, and you have the RT and crossbowmen that pings for 2 and then for 1 if you play a soldier, so you're gonna have realistically at least 3 or 4 of them per game if you play Ramon and Artorius. So these guys are gonna quickly dispose of all the elves. So maybe that's the reason elves are not too popular. They are still around, but not as often as before the patch.
I hear you. Yeah, it's very rare to see a dwarf at the moment.
Yeah, you mean an elf, because dwarves are completely gone. Like, they disappeared. Like, they're not there even. Yeah. Nobody talks about dwarves anymore. Even though Novigrad Injustice just got reworked, for some reason, months after it was popular. But yeah, dwarves completely gone. Nobody plays them. Nobody talks about them. It's like the archetype doesn't exist anymore. I think your dog strongly disagrees with me. That's okay.
Oh gosh. Okay, don't worry.
Yeah,
they totally agree. I understood that.
But when it comes to Harmony, recently I saw a nice video. I think it was made by Driftblade explaining why Oak is a problem. Because the reason why Harmony is so popular, one of the reasons, is obviously the Great Oak. The card is just so easy to set up, and it doesn't really matter if the round is short or long. You're always gonna get insane value out of the card. Do you think that they could potentially rework it? Not necessarily make it worse, just make it, for example, change it in a way where it promotes a longer round, or it wants a longer round, where it's only viable in one scenario rather than in all cases?
You mean the Great Oak?
Yeah.
I mean, potentially, right? I mean, even forcing the Great Oak to only be played in the range row or anything like that could potentially buff it. I feel Squirtle is just, again, it is very much like that faction you play if you just start out. Oh, I see Villa has disappeared.
Yeah, he's back. There. He's back on.
He's back. And making it more difficult for entry players is maybe what they are trying to not do. So I understand that they might not make Great Oak an order ability or make it row specific, but I very much feel it's necessary to do that, in my opinion.
I think what also makes Oak quite strong is Squirtle has a lot of cards that spawn another unit next to it, like Chariot and Dwarven Chariot.
Oh, and the Neophyte.
Half Elf Hunter and the Defender.
Yeah.
Waters.
Yeah, a lot of cards. And it
just makes it split up quicker for Oak.
Yeah, I think the solution that the Driftblade presented in his video was, what if we lowered Oak's base power to like 1 or 2, and then change his ability to boost or buff by 2. So in that scenario, he would not be very viable in a short round. Because how many units can you have in a 3-card round? 2, 3, maybe. So he will be significantly below his provision cost. While in the longer round, he will be equally as strong.
Yeah, no, definitely. I completely agree with you. That will also screw up bribery players' plan when facing Squirtle. So I quite like it, obviously.
Yeah, to be honest, as a bribery player, that's the only card you can possibly use. Maybe Werner Seal, like she can play for a few points as well. But all the other Squirtle cards, you just don't really see value in them. If you play bribery, so it's always aiming for Oak. If you play Stefan, you just pray to all the ancient gods to get at least 1 Oak out of your 2 briberies.
Then it never happens. It's always the opponent's bribery.
I remember playing in seasonal when I was playing triple bribery, and I remember getting triple Oak. There is probably some. It was seasonal though, so don't at me. It was seasonal.
Yeah, I hear you now play ethical decks, face and bad.
Yes, I follow the path of BJ, who renounced all his ties to Cancerous decks last podcast, and now I only play ethical decks. So my current deck, no bribery, there is 1 create card, that's Artorias, obviously, but other than that, no create, no enslave, no poison, and I still don't get GGs. I don't know what's going on. People just hate Nilfgaard.
Or do you think it's because they don't want their name to be shown on the GG? Now with the name hidden?
That's
also possible.
Oh, I just go onto their account real quick and check every single round.
Yeah, so. I do that too. Shame them on stream.
Yeah,
exactly. You shame them on stream. But somebody told me that, especially in players who, well, maybe are in pro rank but are not very pro, they just got there, like me, for some reason, accidentally. They might be somewhat pissed off that they lose to a homebrew while playing a tier 1 deck. Like somebody told me that might be the case, that you net deck because these decks are supposed to win almost everything, and then somebody with a meme deck or homebrew just rolls over you for some reason. You might feel upset.
That's just very salty behavior altogether, in my opinion. First, if you net deck, then you get angry because there's some originality in the game that beat your net deck, which required no thinking at all. So not GGing there's very un-Gwent, in my opinion.
Yeah, but you can also see that how many people out F4 in the last seconds of the game, like they know they've lost. And instead of just passing or forfeiting, they out F4 and they make you wait.
Yes. Oh my god.
That's horrible. That roping. I always just assume I'm playing against Shinmiri and I keep it respectful. So, just in case.
It's different. It's different when they're roping every turn. It's like maybe the guy is streaming, maybe the guy is Shinmiri. You never know. Maybe Life Coach is suddenly playing Gwent. Rope Coach, everyone knows that. Maybe he's suddenly playing again. You don't know. But when somebody is using out for like the last few seconds of the game to just make you wait that additional minute or 2 minutes, that's salt.
It's very, very frustrating. Luckily, that doesn't happen with me a lot, so I'm assuming it's a bribery player thing.
Actually, no, because bribery is not even tier 1, so it's all those salty net deckers who do that. Like bribery obviously could be a problematic card, but it also adds a lot of variety to the game. Technically, you never know what it's gonna be. It's gonna be Oak. It's gonna be something else. You never know. It makes the game more interesting. Yeah, it could be. I'm not watching chat, but I think they are like, "Oh, bribery is bad. Just no bribery."
See, I don't think the opponent of a bribery player ever feels that the game is getting interesting. I think it's just the bribery player who feels that way. But it's a good card in my opinion. Honestly, if I can be honest, it's a high risk, high reward card because every time I tried bribery, I would always get the most horrible cards, and it just sucked. I would get bronze cards instead of golden cards.
Yeah,
So,
it's some sort of confirmation bias, right? Because when you are playing bribery, quite often you see, okay, I got something that's way below the provision cost of bribery.
exactly.
But people who are playing against bribery, they don't remember those matches. They don't remember when their opponent got, Dwarven Skirmisher or something like that. They only remember when they got the Great Oak or Falibor or Philippa.
I must say, what's really interesting, what is irritating is playing Stefan, because it's getting to replay a strong card like that, especially if it's working out for you. To me, that's extremely irritating.
But on the other hand, you see that coming. So if you didn't tech against Stefan and Damien, that's your own fault.
You are right. You are right.
I will admit I played triple Stefan this week on ladder.
Yeah, but that's a
So
mirror
let's end
match,
the
right?
podcast, guys. It's been fun talking to you. I'm kidding. I think Vela wants us to continue.
Yeah, because like when we are talking about cards like that, and you said that only those players who are playing bribery or let's say similar cards enjoy this and see it as more variety. Actually, we had a discussion with Lionheart about this yesterday because he was playing against Enslave 6 and he was like, "Oh, this is dull to play against." I'm not saying this to put him on the spot. I think it's a very common view that playing against Enslave is boring because everything gets removed or stolen. But on the other hand, it keeps you on your toes. Like in most matches against, let's say, Harmony, you just play your cards, your opponent is playing their cards, and there's not much interaction going on. And that's the same happens with certain NR decks or monster decks. There's very little interaction, but when you're playing against Enslave, you have to play around the leader ability, you have to play around Swears, you have to play around Tourney Joust, stuff like that. So the game is actually much more engaging than when playing against Harmony, for instance.
I think it's definitely confirmation bias, as you say. I mean, there's very few factions where I get excited if I'm playing against them. Mainly monsters, because I know I'll get a nice Scorch combo there. But yeah, all of the other factions have their ups and downs. For some reason, Novigrad is just remembered most. I don't know why.
Because probably it's the faction identity. The faction is built around control and tools that mess with your deck. That either create your cards or make your cards weaker, like Shillard, who's not being played right now, but he used to be played in the past. Or, before that we had the Witcher combo, Lockdown. All those cards are designed specifically to make your opponent's life a little bit more miserable.
Just to annoy them.
Yeah.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, I mean, if you're a bribery player, the reaction your opponent has, it's almost you don't want your opponent to have that satisfaction, right? And I think that's why we don't like it, especially with Poison. That was an issue as well for some reason. Even though Poison was not that strong compared to some decks, but it's remembered because it's extremely irritating.
We will actually talk about Poison in a few minutes because it's definitely a point on our list. But instead of talking about bribery all the time, about Novigrad all the time, let's focus on things that are relevant this patch, and that's Syndicate. Tier 1 again, after 2-3 months, I think? Or maybe not even that. So last season, Syndicate was nowhere to be found, and all of a sudden, it's a Tier 1 deck. How do you feel about that? Because I'm excited. I don't play Syndicate, I like playing against it. It's always demanding, it's always challenging.
I played a bit of it. I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but it's my worst faction. So I have no idea what I'm doing wrong. I'm probably playing it like completely terrible, but yeah.
The thing is, my chat can apparently tell me exactly what I'm doing wrong, but the thing is, every time I take out cards, it always goes towards a net deck, which I despise. I want to think for myself, but the thing is, it seems like the net deck is working. It's the Blood Money net deck. I played against Trinet the other day in our Team Rank Style tournament, and I mean, it worked out great for him, and it's the first time I actually played against Blood Money. But after playing against him, I also noticed how everyone was playing Blood Money. So I don't know if it's a trendsetter thing, but it's working for some reason. It really is working.
The TRS tournament took place on, I think it was last Sunday, which was the day after the qualifiers. So shortly after the snapshots were released, and those include blood money.
Yeah.
So it's not really, you know, setting a new trend. It's just people are net decking the strongest deck.
Even I net deck it.
I wonder why it's the strongest though.
Well, I played a bit of it, and I see why it's like why some people are playing this over wildcard. Like if you're playing against an engine deck, you can kind of kill 2 engines with 1 turn instead of wildcard being 1 engine with wildcard with Graydon. With blood money, you can kill an engine with the leader, and then you either get coins to kill the next one, or you can take it with Philippa, etc., and you can deal with the other one.
That's actually really interesting. Yeah, I see what you mean. It has like a very versatile approach. Like you can either get like all the money, you can get 7 coins if you play it right, or you can get rid of a potential enemy, or you can do both. So I see what you're saying, actually.
Yeah, and it's 8 damage, so it deals with cards like the Doggo, it deals with Percival, and engines that are normally difficult to remove. It also deals with Damien or Stefan for that matter. So I think that it doesn't really surprise anyone that blood money is being popular. I think the surprising part is that it just took so long for people to appreciate the ability. You kind of see that, okay, it's worth playing. Because after Tailbot came up with the idea of playing wildcard during Blast Challenger, that was the only Syndicate ability you would normally see. When I saw Jackpot or Congregate, I was just surprised. I was shocked that somebody is even playing that. Because not only Syndicate was not popular as a faction, somebody's actually playing the leader ability that's nowhere in the meta. But on the other hand, like we have blood money, but we also have a very similar NR ability, Vicious Slash. Nobody's playing that.
That's Ada.
Yeah, that's Ada. Yeah.
Vicious Slash is that one where you take 2 points off every unit on a row?
No, it's Northern Realms ability. You deal 8 damage and apply bleeding to adjacent units.
Adjacent cards for each point above. No, under 8. So if a unit was 7, then
yeah, you get 1 bleed
on each.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not playing Northern Realms at all at the moment. I feel it has been adequately nuked, and there's not much variety in that faction.
I feel that the bleeding effect does not synergize with anything in Northern Realms compared to the blood money where you get coins, which will synergize with something like.
It actually might be a
Brazzotti.
good Skellige ability. You get removal, you get bleeding,
Yes.
so you get pings on the Gore and the Great Swords.
And to help Boar with bleed if you're gonna make something damaged.
Yeah. So it would actually be a good Skellige ability rather than an R. Because when it comes to an R, there is not really much to see there. Like the only popular deck is, popular. It was listed in the meta report. The Ardea Shoop one, I think it was Mobilization. I've never seen it. It was reported, but I've never seen it.
Yeah, it's not really being played as much.
I've seen the regular Mobilization with the Siege, but other than that, I feel like an R is not really being played.
I'm playing Draug Foltest.
Ooh. Tell us more, because that's interesting. That's something Draug I've seen, Pinsir last season, but Foltest, ooh.
Yeah, that used to be my favorite deck when Foltest was OP with 2 buff on per unit. Yeah, don't hate me, people. I used to like that deck a lot. So now it's coming back. I was like, yeah, I have to get on this train. And now it's better than some of my factions now. It's my 3rd best faction. And that's only my placements. I still have to play more. It's really fun because people they don't know what to do now against that deck because it's still kind of new this season in the meta. and they're like, okay, how do I play against this? And they don't know how to push or bleed that player properly in round 2, or if they should pass or bleed in round 2.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's always the best time to play it when nobody else is playing it yet, because people start to counter it if it's too strong, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the meta is still very fluid, I would say. Because in the beginning, it was all Skellige. Everyone was playing just Great Swords, Dagur, and the Boat Fist, as somebody called it. And then we had the qualifiers that obviously reshaped the meta, and today we have more qualifiers. So maybe some people are gonna change their decks, and it could affect the meta once again. So I feel like at the moment, Gwent is just in a very good spot because there's no permanent meta. Everything keeps changing. And just the fact that we have two sets of qualifiers makes it possible.
Yeah.
No, it's very good. I feel that's what keeps a game alive, really. Otherwise, everyone just starts playing the same decks over and over again, like we did last season, which was very draining, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, last season was a special case, but before that, before Merchants of Ophir, we had a meta where certain decks, Enslave, Pincer, Mystic Echo, were popular for 4 or 5 months. Where sometimes they would swap cards depending on the patch, but it was the same decks for months. December was not playable. Oh, no, not November. I think December was when they dropped Merchants of Ophir, like somewhere in the beginning of the month.
December was...
Yeah, it was Merchants of Ophir already.
Yeah.
So yeah, before that, I remember when we had tried it on the show, and we were just trying to think of topics to talk about. Because the meta was exactly the same like 2 months before. And everyone was just tired of it. But now things are much different, and I think we owe that to the qualifiers.
Definitely.
Because you have a certain meta that comes after the patch, and it exists for a week or two. Then you have the first qualifier, it changes things, and then you have the second qualifier that possibly also is going to change the meta a little bit.
Yeah.
No, exactly.
Speaking of things that were popular and are no longer so, Second Wind Skellige. It's still being played, but it's not nearly as oppressive as we thought it would be. Like, I still think that both is kinda on the stronger side. Maybe it should see some minor nerfs, but overall, it's not as strong as I thought it would be. Your thoughts on Skellige and its journey this patch?
I mean, yeah, the combo with Dagger and Wild Boar the Scene as last play is quite strong, but then you'd need to pull that off. Like, how many times are you going to pull that off? Not all the time. And now people are playing around those cards and trying to avoid that, and they would bleed you around to get those combinations out.
Yeah, I feel it was a very, very strong combo, but only when it came by surprise. The moment people started learning exactly how it worked, because it was a very, very simple net deck, really. It's very easy to kind of counter it, and just get all of the cards out before the last turn. Then you rely on your great swords and Dagur, and if those are gone, you're pretty much screwed.
Or just have last say and then deal with Dagger at the end.
Exactly.
Because that's what people are doing. They either invest round 1 to bleed round 2 and get all those cards out of the way. You could play armor. That obviously makes the whole combo much less viable. You can just fight for the last say and play essentially any kind of removal. I've seen people playing Korra the Heatwave. If you are playing Novigrad, you can obviously play cards like Universe Invocation. You can play Scorch. I've seen that being played quite a lot. I don't think it's necessarily meta, but people are playing Scorch, people are playing Igni. Some people, without pointing fingers, are playing both.
I saw that yesterday in Square Tall.
Yeah. Precision Strike Square Tall does run Igni and Scorch sometimes. And
Even
Tia is not saying anything. I remember setting up Scorch and then just failing with Oak.
Yeah.
We probably do have a clip of that.
Most likely.
Yeah, I know it's unrelated, but I love those moments. I love when I'm just so focused on the game and on that one combo that I don't see how badly I messed up. Because you're just in tunnel vision. You just want to pull off that one thing, and then you realize, shit, the state of the board is not what I hope. Well, what I hope it will be. I cannot do it anymore. I can't play Scorch because now I have the tallest unit or something similar.
Yeah, well, that's what I like. These cards are very strong, but you can't just play them. There's a bit of thinking involved. And yeah, I did scorch my own oak at some point. It was very
I
fun.
will admit I am part of that crew where I scorched myself.
I think it happened to everyone at some point. Scorching yourself is probably the most common mistake in Gwent. And, you know, not only new players make it, also experienced players make it every now and then. Because sometimes you just forget.
You just have tunnel vision. You see all these cards with the same numbers on your opponent's side, forgetting you've got that one card that's only 1 point higher, and then you scorch yourself. Yeah,
and you know, it's that adrenaline rush. Oh my god, it's gonna be on Dandelion show. It's so good. I'm gonna do it. And then oh shit. Yep, happens a lot to everyone. But yeah, that's the reason Second Wind kinda got I would say relegated to tier 2 because everyone thought it's a strong tier 1, period. It's gonna be up there for the remainder of the patch. And then people just started playing around that. Because it as you already said, it's easy to play around.
Yeah, I mean the entire setup is based, like the entire Skellige game is about the setup, and if you can just prevent the simple setup, then it's all good, you know? There's not much you can do about it. It's not like Poison where they target you regardless and you only have so many purifiers. I mean, you have many cards to your disposal that can get rid of other cards if you're playing right, and yeah, just going all in round 1, making sure they don't have the last say. But
on the other hand, you have to appreciate the synergies. Because many times you play against something and you feel like it's just there for points. It doesn't synergize with anything else. For example, Avalak is a card like that. It's been thrown in many decks that don't really synergize with it. It's just there because it gives you points. So I really appreciate that Skellige now has a deck that's just so thoroughly synergized, where every single card does something that helps the overall archetype. Kinda reminds me of Beta.
Good times. Yeah, I was actually rather taken aback when someone in Skellige, instead of playing Avalach, just played a normal Fog card. I mean, that takes me back to Beta. Yeah, and it's like they would do it regardless, or Torrential Rain, and they score a few provision costs with that, and they can get some better cards, and it has the same effect, basically, if you plan ahead, and you get lucky.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I quite like that, and I realized I couldn't use Second Wind on Avalach like I hoped. I always make that mistake.
I made that mistake too.
Yeah, it's quite common with leader abilities like Second Wind or Strategic Withdrawal that you have this neutral and you think, oh, it's gonna be so nice, and then you realize, shit, only faction cards. Can't do it anymore.
Oh, that's horrible.
I also made that mistake with Shomar when I played it. Because it cannot target neutrals. So you see, for example, you would play against Poison and you see, okay, your opponent played Morale and you're like, oh, easy, I'm just gonna snipe Morale. Well, Morale is neutral, tough luck, you cannot remove it. Because Shomar only targets Novigrad cards when you play offensively. And speaking of Novigrad and Poison, it's essentially non-existent. I haven't seen it. I've seen more Scoia'tael and Syndicate Poison than Novigrad Poison this season.
Yeah, I've seen it like once or twice.
I feel like the factions that are the strongest are those who incorporate some sort of Thrive or Harmony or anything like that. And Poison makes it very difficult to target those cards, especially if there are so many of them. That's also why I stopped playing Poison for now and switched to Scorch, as to me that targets a lot more cards at one time. I don't know, but I also haven't played against Poison really this season. It's more other types of Novigrad cards. I don't know how to put it really.
Yeah, it's mainly Imperial formation.
Yeah, it's the greedy version of soldiers with Damien and Stefan that I don't really like personally. Like, I like soldiers as a concept. I don't like when people just throw cards in that are aimed to just give you more value while sacrificing synergies. Because, of course, double bribery, it can be a lot of points. That doesn't really synergize with the archetype. I like playing thematic decks where, you know, if you're playing soldiers, just play only soldiers or things that synergize with only soldiers. But yeah, Poison, not very popular. When I saw it a couple of days ago, I was like, bro, where you been? Like, it's been almost a month. And yeah, Jess said that she's seen Masquerade Ball a couple of times. I haven't, not a single time.
I've seen it a few times, but not a lot.
Not at all. I wish.
But what's really surprising is, despite the nerf, the 1 provision nerf, Enslave is being played again. Enslave 6.
Yep,
and Hyperthin.
I haven't really seen Hyperthin. I think I've seen it once, but I've seen Enslave quite a few times recently. Enslave 6.
Yeah. I think I've seen Enslave more than Hyperthin, but Hyperthin is definitely a thing. What caught me by surprise is, in the past, nobody really played Triss in Hyperthin. But now they do, because, well, you can deal damage. It's using Tibor. And that's how I lost the game yesterday, because I thought, oh, he's just gonna pull Tibor out of his deck now and I win. And, well, they didn't. So, I lost that way. It caught me by surprise. And I saw Lionheart playing against Hyperthin quite a few times. He said somebody definitely popularized the deck. It's being played. And yeah, obviously Enslave 6. I like it. I like playing against Enslave. It keeps you on my toes.
I like playing against Enslave.
No, I like playing against it because I know it's coming. I know it's there. How do I play my cards to avoid getting my crucial cards being stolen or killed?
I mean, basically, all I can think about is Defender, really. Or, yeah, and they purify that almost instantly. So I'm not a massive fan of Enslave, really. Of course, you can target the cards too, but yeah.
I'm playing. It's quite fun because it's not on. I don't think it's on TLG Snapshot, but I'm not sure about Aretusa one. So people don't really know what's in that deck, and so that when they purify the defender, you just play Nether Kingslayer and just make another defender, and then they're like, oh, now what? Because they normally don't have a second purify, and then you just get your Damien and Stefan through.
Yeah, but I only play Novigrad, and this season I only play Imperial Formation. And it gives you so many tools to play around Enslave, because you can boost something. I have a lot of 3-power units, and I remember, for example, yesterday I was playing my 3-power engine, and somebody told me, oh, why didn't you boost it to 5 so it doesn't get Sweersed? And I was like, yeah, I have my own Sweers, so I'm gonna take it back. And, you know, 3-power means if it gets enslaved, your opponent is just missing value. So you are, in a way, playing around things that you think your opponent has. And that's why I like playing against Enslave, because it is there. It's gonna, you know it's happening. What can I do in order to prevent it? Instead of just playing against a deck where, okay, he smashes his cards, I'm gonna smash my cards, and we see who wins. I like when there is interaction between decks. I don't know, maybe it's just my thing.
No, I can think, well, I mean, if you only play Novigrad, I'd say it would get boring at some point if you don't mix it up right. So playing against your own faction, I'd see that as a worthy opponent. And yeah, I would like it too if I played against my own faction, if I only played Novigrad. So I see where you're coming from, at least.
Okay, moving on. What I wanted to ask about Enslave actually is it coincidence that nobody really played it last season? And then Slama talked about it in the developer stream, and they said that according to their data, it's the strongest leader ability with the highest win rate. And all of a sudden, after they said that, people started playing Enslave again. Do you think it's a coincidence, or people just took Slama's word and they thought, okay, there has to be something in it.
Which leader ability is that? I couldn't hear
Enslave.
you.
Enslave.
It got nerfed by one provision because, as I said, they claim it's the leader ability with the highest win rate.
I think because of that nerf that no one expected, that no one was actually gonna play it, so that I think someone brought it to the qualifiers last week or the week before, and then they were like, it's a surprise deck. No one's gonna really practice against Enslave because who's gonna play Enslave? And then they made it work, and now I think it was Santu that brought it, and he won.
Either Santu or Paja.
And then if it was Santu, he won, and now everyone's playing that because they see, oh, it actually can do something.
Yeah, it's kind of like with. Do you remember when Chess brought Shomar to the Challenger? Shortly afterwards, everyone was trying Shomar in their deck because they saw, okay, somebody's playing that at the tournament. It didn't really work out then, but maybe I can try to make it work myself.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, you can see the same effect with Wildcard. Tailbot played with Wildcard, and he said this is the best Syndicate leader ability. And the next day, everyone was playing Wildcard.
Mm-hmm.
You can definitely see the influence the pro player have on the community as a whole.
Just takes that one creative spark.
Yep. And speaking of community, and because sometimes community thinks, oh, they nerf this, it's gonna be trash, or they rework this, it's not gonna be playable. Arash and Emlerith. People thought these cards didn't need those changes. They're not gonna be played. And all of a sudden, they are being played. What do you think about the new Arash and the new Imlerith?
I mean, Arash is it 5 provision?
Yes.
So then it's basically 9 for 5 in the Ruckus Queen. I can't remember what that ability is called.
Yeah, but everyone knows. Sir Carpus? Something like I don't remember. Araka's Queen.
Yeah, then that's a nice 9 points you got there because it's 8 buff plus a drone you're gonna spawn. It also helps with the dominance for some of the cards, such as Imlerith, I think needs dominance.
Now Imlerith usually targets your own unit, and for that you don't need dominance. You only need dominance to target your opponent's unit.
Okay.
And I've never seen it being played that way.
Okay, yeah. But it helps with other dominant cards. Such as if you want to play the Frosthound or Protoflitter. Ada.
I think Protoflitter is it being played? Have we seen it?
I've seen it.
Okay, I've seen a lot of Ada when it comes to dominance. I see Tia is making faces, so let's hear her voice.
Oh no, not at all. No, I'm listening. No, I wouldn't. It's interesting that you guys discuss the cards, as I don't play them at all, so I appreciate that. No,
I don't play them either. I only play one faction.
Oh, all right. I think it's good that they change cards that are all useless. As they said, I think it was Burzau or someone who said it's cost a lot of money to actually make these cards, use the art, etc. So if they're not being played, instead of taking them out, rather change them. I think it's a good change. If people are actually playing it, it means they succeeded, right? Especially if they play it all of a sudden, but that might also be because of the hype, I guess.
Yeah, and it's what I like about this is how the initial reaction of a huge chunk of the community was Imlerith, Arash, there was no need for rework, nobody's gonna play that. And then all of a sudden that creative spark that just talked about, somebody made a deck and you see it quite often. Maybe not everywhere because it's still not a tier 1 deck, but you see it quite a lot. So this shows you that maybe we should put more trust in the developer team. They know what they're doing.
I quite like the developer team.
Oh yeah, me too.
Even if it takes a while sometimes for new patches to come out, I understand that it's a process and I take my hat off.
Yeah, they're busy. As a content creator, you sometimes need to talk to them, and you quickly realize how long it takes for them to respond. I've talked to quite a few developers in the last few months, and it takes a bit.
Yeah, because they are very busy.
Oh yeah, they are. Like, the team is not very big, I think, and and Gwent is getting bigger and bigger, and there's more and more cards that are not being played and that should be reworked, or there is some new cards that maybe need some balancing. So they are always working a lot to make the game just better.
Yeah.
The next point that I wanted to discuss is because you said somebody brought Enslaved to the qualifiers, and that's why it is being played again. The effect of qualifiers on the meta, like we already talked about it briefly. Do you enjoy this? Do you enjoy the meta being shifted every 2 weeks?
I mean, it gives variety, and it isn't boring every 2 weeks. But I also, me as a net decker, don't really enjoy sometimes playing against something I don't know what they're playing, like a random Igni that doesn't synergize with anything. I'm known as an Igni magnet.
It happened to me as well, and I remember saying, "Oh, this guy only won this game because he played Igni, like completely without any synergies, just very random." And somebody told me, "Oh, you should have played around it." Like, really?
Yeah, like I saw it.
How do you play around the card that's not being played?
I think I saw it in Arrakis Queen the other day, and I'm like, how? How are you guys?
I remember, but was that not a Trinet net deck? I remember something along those lines.
The Arrakis net deck runs Koratha Heatwave.
Yeah.
And I saw somebody playing Scourge instead, and I was like, "Why would you do that?"
Yeah, there's someone that's playing Scorch and Heatwave.
Like playing Scourge in a deck that revolves around dominance. Like, how often are you gonna see cards that are taller than your own units? Unless you just like Scorching yourself.
And Glusty. You're playing Glusty and you're playing Scorch. Like, I had the situation the other day where I was playing Arnulf, and my opponent and I were both tied at equal score. He had the last card, but he kept taunting me so that I could forfeit because he had Scorch in his hand because he had the tallest unit. I'm like, this is why you shouldn't play Scorch in a tall deck.
Exactly. That happens. I think people are trying to be creative, or sometimes people are trying to save provisions. Even though I think that Scorch is actually more expensive than Koratha Heatwave, isn't it?
I think
Scorch is 13. Koratha Heatwave is
12, I think.
It is 10, so it's 3 more provisions. So when I saw the guy playing Scorch instead of Koratha Heatwave, why would you do that? It's just 3 more provisions, and you have the risk of basically ruining your own play. Unless you have a bad experience with scenarios. I can imagine that if you played against double or triple switch 10 times in a row, then you probably think, maybe something like that. But then again, Koratha Heatwave is better still. Like, you can line up Scorch against a deck like that because everything is like 3-4 power. So if you have the pinging, you can line up a really decent Scorch. But Koratha Heatwave just deals with the scenario and you're done. So I have no idea why people play that in a deck like that.
Oh, and I just need to clarify, Trinet just informed us he actually did not play that in his monster deck. So it seems some info got lost along the grapevine. I apologize for that. I think at the moment I play against a strong deck, my entire chat is just like, oh, it's a Trinet net deck.
Yep, same in my chat.
Yep. I think the reason is because we all stream shortly after Trinet. Like, I see that a lot. I'm playing against something and somebody instantly tells me, oh, Trinet played it on his stream. Because incidentally, Trinet quite often hosts me, and I start streaming when he ends. So there is some overlap in viewership. And then people are always like, oh, Trinet played it. I know what it is.
I get that too quite often.
Yeah, because I think we stream in a very similar time slot.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, Trinet sometimes streams for 8 hours a day or something. What was that? The other day, it was like
It was the
how many
subathon.
hours?
He streamed for 7 hours. I think he took a 1 hour break, and then he streamed for 17 hours.
See, so we are going to overlap with Trinet because he streams 24/7.
No, that was a very unusual situation because it was subathon. It was his 2-year stream anniversary, I think.
Yeah.
Yes. Still,
It's
if you're able to
subathon.
do that, I expect it to happen more often. I can't even stream for 6 hours straight. It's too
Load
much.
shedding.
I can't even stream for 3 hours.
It's a lot,
Quite
right?
hypnosis.
It is annoying when you can do that. I usually don't stream a lot, but I can imagine how frustrating it must be if you want to do that, and you just can't because the power is gonna go off in a moment.
Yep.
But to kind of wrap this up at this segment, unused art, because Tia mentioned that Pavel once said that it's expensive just not to use it because they paid so much for the art. The art of leader abilities. Do we want to see it back? Like, at least as a card that you can put in your profile.
Definitely. I mean, it was commissioned once, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it should definitely come back. I'm all for that. I think they sometimes take things out momentarily until they know what to do with it. But I can't imagine them ever getting rid of a card forever. I think they plan to have all the cards there one day, as long as they know what to do with it.
Yeah, an example of that, of cards that, were being taken out from the game and then were reintroduced, like Shani, for instance, right? And the Redanian cards. They were
Philippa.
removed from the game for Philippa for a while until they knew what to do with them. And I still hope that one day Henry Van Atra is gonna come back to the game, obviously, when it comes to cards like that. But yeah, the leader art is just so beautiful. Like I remember, seeing cards, like leader abilities like Vicious Slash. Like the art is just great, and it's not there anymore for no reason at all.
Yeah, it's odd. I mean, I'm sure if we asked them, they would give us an exact reason for it. I just can't think of it right now. I think it's because they suddenly decided to change the entire leader setup where you now need skins and your leader doesn't match your leader ability, etc., etc.
But it doesn't really have to be somehow bound to the leader anymore. It could be a gold card. Or it could be just in there, like a cosmetic. It is there, you can put it in your profile that you have it. Right? Your favorite card. They can reintroduce it in a way. Because I understand we are not going back to leaders having their own cards. It's not going to happen, everyone knows that. But we already see quite a few leaders being leaders and having a gold card as well. For example, DJ.
Such as Dijkstra, yeah.
And it's a very good example because both the card and the leader were added roughly at the same time. I think the card was first, and then they added the leader shortly afterwards, like the next patch. And Cleaver is another example because Cleaver was a neutral card, and I think it still is, and they made the leader.
Even Arnjov, even when you played on the board.
Yeah. Even Arnjov, yeah, exactly. That's a good point. So there is already a precedent. They could do that. Like I just want an Anrieda. I'm not gonna lie. just give me Anna back.
Yeah, she is pretty.
Yeah, the card was amazing. Like a lot of not all leader ability art was great. I think that Mystic Echo was just so. But Eldain was great. I think Ardo was looking really awesome. Like overall, the Syndicate art was great. And now it's gone for no reason at all. Like they should think about it, because I think I've recently seen a poll made by MacBeard if you would like to see it back in some capacity, and almost everyone said yes.
Yeah, like even I think I like the Detlef card art too.
And once again, Detlef was being a leader and a card. Ada as well. And Ada is a very nice example because it's actually a cross-faction card. because Ada Striga is part of Monsters, and Ada was the NR leader. Still is, just not as Ada.
It's like our viewers are saying too. They have to actually give abilities to those cards if they incorporate it in that way. So I can imagine it taking quite a while.
Yeah, it probably just takes time.
Change. Yeah.
But
Bring back Dagon.
Dagon, the fish god. Maybe one day. But yeah, it takes time. But sometimes you can see that they cater to the community. For example, I remember them saying that tactical advantage is not gonna get the premium. No way. It just takes too much effort, too much time. It costs too much. We are not gonna do that. And they were repeating that every single stream. And all of a sudden, we get premium tactical advantage. It happened. So they listen, and I think that if people ask a lot about something, in the end, they're gonna do it. So maybe one day. Maybe one day. There's a lot of work. Also, there's just unused art. There's art that was already leaked that it's gonna come to the game at some point in the future. I think there's this whole wiki page about that. It's a lot of cards. And people are just asking, okay, where are those?
Like there was even this alternative coral card art that I saw that I really wanted in the game, but it's still not there.
Yeah. One day, because every expansion they release around 70 to 100 cards. And I don't know how many expansions are going to be there this year. Possibly 2, maybe 3. It's not gonna be 4. We already know that. Actually,
I think 3 max.
Yeah. Overall, your expectations when it comes to the next expansion? When? What could be the theme? We could talk about that a little.
I think there will be 3 this year. 1 every 4 months.
I mean, that's sufficient, I guess. I know some people talked about the Zeracanian theme. And then someone else said it's impossible, but I quite like it. I can think of majestic creatures and Zeracania.
But I understand where you're coming from, but there is actually no lore whatsoever. In the books, there is 2 characters from Zeracania, and in the games
it's you who said it.
Probably, and in the games there is one more. That's Azar, who's already part of Syndicate. So there is nothing. We don't know anything about Zeracania, as a matter of fact. So people talk about majestic creatures and whatnot. Where do you get that from? It's not in the books. It's not in the games.
It's like,
I think it's people's perception of what Zeracania could be like.
Yeah, that's the thing. We never actually saw Zeracania in that way, so it could be anything, and that's what makes it intriguing. But yeah, they would be going away from the lore and creating their own, which is also
which has been done before, because Syndicate has very little basis in the lore. I think that the only cards that appear in the books are DJ, who obviously at that time, at the time of the books, has no connection with the Syndicate whatsoever, and Hemmelfart. Everything else was either The Witcher 3, or The Witcher games, or it was specifically made, and I think that's the majority of cards, were specifically made for the purpose of Gwent.
Yeah, exactly. So it's possible, right?
It is possible.
They might be keen to do something like that again. But at the moment, I think they'll be more eager to balance the game. I think that's their top priority at the moment.
Yeah, if they do something like Zeracania, it's not going to be a new faction, which is something that people always talk about. It's going to be more like Merchants of Fear, where you get some neutrals and a couple of cards that are bound to a faction, and you have a couple of Fury cards that are part of NR, for instance. It's not going to be a separate faction. I don't think they want to add a new faction, because 6 is a nice number. It makes it easier to do challenges and stuff like that. Like an even number.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Okay, so to wrap up the Gwent segment, or what's happening in Gwent Villa, your opinion on Gwent overall? Because we are moving to your territory, which is the competitive Gwent. No Villa, nothing again. Okay, Villa is quite quiet today. I don't know why. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he didn't sleep well. Competitive Gwent. We had the qualifiers, the first qualifiers, last weekend, and both spots secured by Team Aretuza once again. Do you think there's any team right now that could challenge their position? It's always Team Aretuza.
I'm sure. I'm sure Team Aretuza has a lot of good players, but I'm sure more might emerge or more might get lucky in the future.
I'm always rooting for Red Train, by the way.
So.
My team, Kappa. No,
Button bashes.
no, energy.
Yeah, actually, aren't you the only pro Gwent player on the team?
Yeah, I am the only Gwent player on the team, so which gets lonely.
Oh.
When I have to practice for any tournament, then I sometimes practice with Crozier if he can help me with some decks from what he's using in the same tournament, because I can imagine Aretuza won't like that. But other than that, sometimes I just tell him what decks to play, then I will practice with him with the decks I'm bringing.
Because last season you got quite close to your top 64, I think.
I placed 101.
So that is fairly close. I think that the MMR difference was probably very minor.
I think it was 60 or something. But that being said, I only had, I think, 2 weeks to play that month because I was in Germany. And I'm not going to spend all my time in Germany playing.
Oh, yeah. And right now that you're back, you have load sheddings, and that makes things complicated again.
Yeah, I'm not pushing for top 64 this season because the day of qualifiers, I'm away on holiday again with Crozier.
I see a pattern there.
Honestly.
I see a pattern. Maybe Crozier is just trying to sabotage your success on the ladder.
Because he can't play with his master thesis, I can't play. Yeah.
Oh, makes sense. Well, let's hope qualifiers happen more often so you can go on cool holidays.
Yeah, qualifiers are going to happen, I think, every month. Or almost every month.
Yes, every month.
Yeah, that's insane.
We can show like the overall rules of the qualifiers, because there's 2 qualifiers per month, right? The top 16 and top 64. And I think there's overall 2 sets of qualifiers and then an open.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so there's gonna be a lot of qualifiers you can join in the future. Because really, 101, that's not far away.
There are some of them I can't play because if I do make it, then I can't go because of visa restrictions.
Oh yeah, that again. Is it like a different kind of visa? Like, because I assume
it's just Schengen.
Yeah, but you have a tourist visa right now, I think.
There might be one that's like for sports, technically, because esports.
Yeah.
I don't know how that would work.
Yeah, it would get complicated at some point. I mean, you can even call it work, but I don't know what the side effects of that would be.
Tax.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I'm not sure how it would work because the rules in South Africa are quite interesting. For example, Tia explained to me that every time she gets money from Twitch as a streamer, she gets a call from her bank to explain where that money is coming from.
My bank, yeah, because it's an international payment, right?
My bank doesn't do that.
Luckily. Yeah, Capitec Bank does. Well, especially because I don't get paid through PayPal. So every single month I'm asked where the money comes from.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to explain to them that it's not a fraudulent way of accumulating money.
I think your dog disagrees with that statement. I think you should be buying more treats with that money.
I guess. Yeah, the thing is, I need to lock him in the room today because we have someone coming over today to help clean the house, and she never comes on a Saturday, so problematic moments. Let me go silence the doggo.
Just don't kill him. Just don't shoot it. I know Thea has guns, so please don't do it. Nice chair stream, by the way.
Yeah, Corsia knows all about that.
I'm back.
What did you do to it?
Just quickly kill the doggo. Always fine.
Yeah, you can just get a new one.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Anyway, the highlight of the last tournament was Alessio's rant. So basically, he is not happy about Gwen right now, and he said he's done. Do you think
I saw that video very briefly.
Do you think he's done for real, or is it more like I would call the chess effect, when he played the challenger, he announced he's stepping back from DLG and he's not gonna play Gwen again. And then, well, he kind of got back. He's playing a lot these days, not streaming, but he is playing Gwen competitively. Do you think that's the case with Alessi, just overall being unhappy with how the tournament, how the qualifier went, or how the meta is, but in the end coming back? Or do you think he's gone for real?
I mean, I think he might be gone for real. I assume he's enjoying the other card game that he's playing. I think it's Legends of Runeterra.
Oh, a lot of people are playing that.
Yes, but I haven't seen him streaming or playing Gwent a lot these days, except for the qualifier. I think, my opinion, it might be that he didn't practice too much for the qualifiers as much as his teammates because he's busy with Legends of Runeterra, and then that affected his overall placement in the qualifiers, which made him angry with the game.
I mean, yeah, you can only get so angry at the game, right? He lost fair and square, so yeah, I feel people shouldn't be too quick to flip out. But yeah, we will see, right? It's very easy to reach that stage where you feel like you won't ever play Gwent again, especially if he's already playing a different card game. He might just completely migrate over to that. Yeah, we shall see.
Yeah, there's a lot of, as I already said, a lot of people playing Legends of Runeterra. I think McBeard is really involved in the scene right now. And there's another person that we actually approached to be on that podcast, and the answer was, well, I would love to, but not right now because I'm all about Legends of Runeterra.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see that even notable members of the community kinda jumped ship. Not sure if permanently or just to check things out, but it definitely has an impact on Gwent. And speaking of people who are playing another game, Life Coach, like, I think it was obvious that he's not gonna participate in the World Masters.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I had my personal hope that he would, because that would be huge for Gwent if he did. But he's still attending the viewer party. He's coming to Warsaw to be at the tournament. He's just not gonna play. I think he handled that pretty well.
Yeah. I think he's still got a lot of good relationships with CDPR, so that's why. And maybe Gwent is still there in his heart, but he's not gonna play it though. So that's why he would go to Masters to enjoy it there.
I mean, I would never know his reasons if he had other than what he gave us. But if it is true, it's very altruistic, I'd say. Still going and giving your place to someone else who deserves it more, if that's what you think. If he didn't go at all, I just think he wasn't in the mood, right? But he is going, and I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because we have to remember, he actually quit Gwent 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Where shortly after Midwinter, when he just didn't like Create. He was very outspoken when it comes to that issue, and he didn't like it. He quit Gwent. He didn't like the direction the game was taking. And yeah, it was to be expected that, somebody who hasn't played the game in 2 years, I think he briefly came back for Homecoming for a day or two. He didn't like it. So it makes a lot of sense that he would not participate in the tournament. And, the way he handled it, what Thea just said, that he said he doesn't deserve to be there, and there's players who are still very much involved in Gwent and that should be there in his stead. That was an act of class, and I really like him going to the party. Maybe he's gonna announce it somewhere else. Maybe he's gonna stream it. This could be huge for Gwent, because Life Coach is obviously a huge personality in terms of card games.
Yeah. No, I think it's really great that he's showing his support. Again, hats off to him.
It could also give more exposure to the game again.
Yeah, and speaking of more exposure, Android coming soon, March 24th. So yeah, when somebody asks Android when, it's March 24th. We already know. I kind of expect that when they said, Q1, I was like, okay, it's gonna be March the 31st. Like, obviously, it's CDPR. It's always like that. It's actually 24th, so a week earlier than I anticipated. But that's gonna be massive for Gwent. Like, we already see what effect the iOS release had on the game. And, maybe it doesn't translate to viewership on Twitch, but there's a lot more people playing. There's a lot more people spending money on Gwent, and the more money Gwent makes, the higher the odds of having larger expansions and more patches and more reworks and stuff like that. Because the company is just able to pay the stuff, or even expand if they want to. So yeah, what do you think about the Android release? We are a month away, like, roughly.
It's exciting.
I'm an iPhone person.
I'm a Samsung person.
So I've been playing mobile for a while. Especially when my power's out, I can play on my phone.
Just
when
make
my
sure it's
battery's
charged.
full. Yes, when my battery's full and I have data, because it takes quite a bit of data and battery when I one game I can play. But I think there are more Android players than iPhone, so there's gonna be a lot more players bringing into the community via Android than iPhone. And iPhone was a success, I believe.
Yeah, it was a massive success.
Yes.
Especially in terms of income, it's either tripled or quadrupled in the last quarter of the year. And that was a month in.
Yeah.
So obviously a huge impact on the financial situation of the game.
No, I mean, it's great, and I'm hoping Android might do even better, especially since iPhone users sorted out all the little bugs and glitches for us.
We were the beta testers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, aren't we all?
Yeah.
But Gwent has been in constant beta since its conception, I would say.
Yeah,
it never changes.
Gwent coming in Cyberpunk and just saying it's been all a beta test, guys. It's never been real. This Gwent game is now finalized. It would be quite ironic.
I don't think it's gonna happen. They already said there's gonna be no Gwent or no Witcher in the Cyberpunk game. I mean, probably Siri is gonna make a cameo. It's gonna happen. Like they keep denying that, but they leaked it in The Witcher 3. Like there's no going back. It has to happen. You can't.
I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen.
Yeah, you can't just put it in the game where it's Siri, tells girl about the Cyberpunk universe and then just not put it in Cyberpunk. Like, no way, it has to happen. With that being said, is there anything about competitive Gwent that we'd like to discuss right now? I don't think so. We covered the Masters, or maybe just overall expectations of the Masters. Do you have your favorites?
No, I am unbiased for now.
Yeah, I'm biased as well. Freddy for life. Yeah, I like Freddy because he always brings meme cards to tournaments. Angulem, Big Love. So yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
I think I'm always on the underdog side.
Yeah.
Also like Magpie.
Yeah, there was also when Chezzy was playing, I wanted him to win because he's never been there and he is one of my friends. So. And
he plays Shomar, obviously.
Yeah.
Honestly, I'd like to see a South African going someday.
Yes.
Yeah, so Jess, you need to start making a top.
I'm trying.
All bets on Jess.
Yeah. we will go watch Jess if she goes.
I mean, yeah, you actually didn't end too far away on the ladder.
Yeah, it's just at every time I reach a point where I just feel I won't be able to climb where I need to go, and then I play something else.
Yeah, at some point you were top 100.
I was, but it was in the beginning, and it's very easy to get there, really, especially if you get into pro real quick. It's about staying there, and again, I haven't played in a while now, so I'm not even top 1,000 right now, which is just ridiculous. Yeah, I've been playing The Witcher 3 for quite a while. I think I'm sitting this one out, but next month I will be back. Not competitively necessary, but maybe one day. First Jess.
Yeah, I have played a few qualifiers in the past before season 2, and I have this terrible curse of being 9th, and I never make day 2. Even in that Italian tournaments that happened near the end of the year last year,
Yeah.
I always didn't make a day 2 ever until the last one where I made a day 2, and I was one win away from going to Italy, and then Paja blocked me.
Well, no. if you said you are cursed, I think you might need a Witcher.
I need a Witcher to break the curse. Yes.
To lift it.
Yes.
So, Geralt, if you're listening, we can put you in touch with Jess.
I mean, there was this one. I think it was a qualifier where I placed 7th, and I thought it was it, but there was still one game going, and I was like, yeah, if they win or lose, they won't make it higher than 7th, so I will be safe. But then there were 3 of us tied at 7th, so we had to do a 3-way tournament again between the 3 of us, and then the other 2 opponents made top 8 and not me. I was so devastated that night because I was so happy. I told my stream I made day 2, and then they were all happy, and I had to play another tournament.
That sucks.
Yeah, it does. But speaking of tournaments and your involvement, I think it's a good moment to switch over to the next segment, which is the personal Q&A. Because I'm not sure if everybody remembers back in the day, back in the good days of beta, you actually organized tournaments.
Yes, this is 2 years ago. I started making tournaments. I had this idea that maybe if it's very popular, then maybe we could do land-based tournaments in South Africa. But the people I organized the tournaments with, they are all South Africans. I've been friends with them since even before Gwent, because I used to play Call of Duty competitively.
Yes. I played it too, but not competitively, no way.
And my best placement was 2nd, and I earned money from that, which was cool. So I do have a good relationship with those people. So they were like, okay, let's try this. Let's do Gwent tournaments because we see you quite involved with it. And they were quite excited that I'm also involved with the Gwent devs, that they know me personally, kind of. They do know me. And then with South Africans, if you're known internationally, it's a big deal. I don't know if you know that, Thea.
Oh no, not at all.
People get so excited if international people know you. I'm like, oh, okay.
Okay.
So I tried making these tournaments, but they said only South Africans are allowed and neighboring countries. I don't know why. So I couldn't do international. My first one was a success. I think I had 40 participants. Then the second one went down to 30, and then it became 15, and then we're like, okay, we can't do this anymore because there's not enough players every time, not enough interest.
Yeah, I was just going to ask if there is any plans to resurrect those tournaments, but yeah, if you said that there is not enough participants and not enough interest, I don't think it's going to happen. But maybe after the Android release, maybe at some point after the Android release, there could be more people interested in Gwent.
It's also because it's very stereotypical to say, but South Africans like a prize pool. They want prize pools in their tournaments. And I've known this with Call of Duty too. they won't play until there are prize pools, and we didn't have any prize pools except like meteorite dust or kegs from Gwent, but they want money prize pools. That's why that lost interest.
That makes sense. I can understand how that would be a priority.
Yeah. I can imagine. And I'm not sure CDPR at the moment is willing to provide any kind of financial prize pool.
Oh, yeah.
Because they didn't do it back then, and now if you look at the prize pool for season 2, you clearly see that they're not in a position to fund community organized tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
They're not gonna do that. It's not gonna happen, unfortunately. And speaking of that, there was one idea that they did back in the day, and that was the skirmish. And you are one of the very few people who participated in the skirmish and who are still around. Because I look at the list, Krauser, Ash Lizzle, they're all gone.
Yeah, I think it's only myself and Pumpkin. Maybe Brazosa.
Oh, I mean Croquis. Sorry, Krauser. I thought Croquis and I said Krauser. My bad, my man. Wiped from existence. My excuses. I meant Croquis.
He's Croquis' German brother, if you didn't know.
So yeah, tell us about the skirmish. Did you enjoy it? Like, do you want to see them back? Because personally, I would love to see them.
Yes, I would want them to bring them back because I was quite surprised that they actually chose me. But they told me they wanted a variety of regions to be able to play this tournament. And I felt quite fortunate that they chose me for the skirmish. It is actually quite fun. Like, you have this whole thing where CDPR does a draw show for you on YouTube and everything, like they do for opens and challenges. And then you have to organize with your opponents in your pool what times and what days you need to play, because you can choose different days and different times, but you have to stream them. I remember it was only for streamers, because you have to stream the games so that they know that no one's cheating or anything. The only gripe I had with it was you were allowed to go to deck builder between games and change your deck whenever you wanted. So I didn't do that. I stuck with my decks, and I remember this is the first time I had practiced tournament games with someone else in the Gwen community, and that was Crozier. That's how we got to know each other, through skirmish.
Aww. That's awesome.
Gwent bringing people together, confirmed.
Because I had no one else to play or teach me the ropes of Homecoming, because I was a PlayStation player that had just converted over to PC, and I didn't understand really about Homecoming and how to play these games. So I saw Crozier as this person being top 100 all the time. I'm like, oh my god, he must be like this good player. So I asked him to help me, and also because he had an African flag, which gave me an interest. Next season.
Yeah, actually, he explained the story behind his African flag last episode. Completely by accident. The Namibian player Crozier. Because I think it was the Namibian flag, right?
Yes. Because I saw no other African players ever. So I was like, oh my god, there's another African. I have to know who this person is. So yeah.
So yeah, you approached him like all hopeful, and he was like, 9?
9? I'm like, oh, it's German. But I knew this before I asked him with Skirmisher.
That's a great story. Like, I thought, you just were invited to the tournament, you played a little bit, and you can share your insights about how it felt to be there. And we actually got the story of how you met Crozier.
Yeah.
We didn't ask him last time. We thought, that might be a little bit too cheesy to ask on the podcast.
It's fine with me. If it's fine with him, it's probably fine with him. It's already out there.
Oyerfeldy says, let's cheese. With that being said, guys, do you have any questions?
I got one question.
Okay, Thea found something.
One. Kane asked us, what do we think about CDPR not releasing balancing patches more often? And are they too much focused on new expansions, or do they not have time and resources?
Didn't they say that they want more frequent balance patches because they want to avoid a situation like in January where they didn't release a balance patch because there was simply no time to do that? Like, I think the idea is that, okay, there's gonna be fewer expansions, we already know that, but the balance patches are gonna be smaller but more frequent. So let's say once a month, maybe.
Okay. And Voldemort wants to know how MissLadyJay feels about stealing Crozier from him.
Well, I mean, that's not my fault that he chose me over Voldemort.
Ah, there you have it.
Yeah, I think that was a very wise choice. But hey guys, if you have questions, they can be a little bit more personal. They can be directed to all of us if you want. Just Voldemort, Voldy, please, hold your horses.
Alright, Bing wants to know, does anyone want dwarves buffed? I doubt it, really.
Yeah.
To be honest, no, not really. Because if you look at dwarves, it was just another point spam deck. 3 IQ, just play your cards, get points. And we already have Harmony and Thrive to do it, so I don't think there is a need right now. Do you feel comfortable with everyone knowing about your Hobbit feat? We actually talked about it before the show. Crozer asked, so...
Okay, so
you have to tell the story again.
Alright.
I mean, you can ask the question because it's basically a meme now in my channel too, and his channel, that people say I have Hobbit feet. It came about with... I think a lot of people know that I wear socks to bed in the winter. I sleep with socks on. Tia also does it. She has told me.
Yes, I do.
It's not just me that you should be angry about.
South Africa is the actual Shire, guys.
So the first time I was at Crozier's place, we were sitting on the couch watching something on Netflix, I think, or I think it was Twitch open on the TV or something. And my feet was up on the couch without socks. And then he says to me, "Why do you have such hairy toes?" And I was like, I don't have hairy toes. You shouldn't say those to a woman on the first time you're meeting them. So I've told this to my chats before, and now they think I have Hobbit feet.
Oh, the Gwent community never change. I like how those things start as a single line somewhere on Twitch, and then it just spirals out of control.
Yes.
This is how you get the ladies. Take notes.
Yeah, Hobbit feet confirmed. This is not me.
Actual Hobbit friend.
Well, if anything, I'm certain my feet are more Hobbit than Jess. I can't imagine she has big feet.
No, they mean hairy feet when they say Hobbit feet.
Nah.
Other than the state of her on anyone's feet, guys. Any more questions? We have some more time. So if you have any decent questions, looking at you, Voldy, yes, please ask them.
I don't know if this counts as decent, but Voldy wants to know if Jess ever felt ashamed for being a Skellige main in the beta and never playing Skellige when it's not broken now.
No,
according to him.
What? I played Skellige in beta. Don't hate me. I played Greatswords. I was a Greatsword main. Then Homecoming, when the beginning of Homecoming, I played my own homebrew deck that actually got me over 2.5, and people were saying, "Oh, it's a meme. Don't play it," because I was playing Krach when I would damage things, and Wild Boar and Scourge And Brockville Hunters. Now Brockville Hunters actually now in the meta report actually with Arnulf in TLG. Everyone was like, oh my god, Brockville Hunter is such a meme, don't play it. Don't play Wild Boar, it's such a meme. But now I was playing it and now it's in the meta reports, which I find like it's very happy. It makes me very happy.
I have a good question from Crozer, good guy Crozer. A favorite card art and voice line from recent expansions.
Expansions as in
all as in like the last couple. So let's say Merchants of Fear and Iron Judgment.
I think my favorite card art is probably Living Armor. The premium is pretty cool. Or the All Geared, the new one. And the voice line is Ramon, actually.
Beat the Northern
Dogs tomorrow.
Nah, that's a good one, but that's not the best one. Beat the Northern Dogs until they beg for mercy. That's the best line in the game.
Yes.
What counts as new? I'm guessing. What is it called? Seneca doesn't count as new anymore.
It was an expansion though, so.
Okay, then my favorite one remains the one where Bensi says, "Women belong in the home. In all of them." I find it witty.
It's a very nice line because most people wouldn't actually think about what she says, and they realize, oh, that's what she means.
I think there was also a voice line I liked a lot from the Redanian Archer. Like Falling Stars. Something at the beginning I forgot. But the last part is like Falling Stars.
Voldemort wants to know, does Jess plan to continue playing and streaming Gwent when she moves to Germany and marries a potato?
Yes.
There you have it.
Probably. If Gwent is still alive then. I think there was a question.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep up with chat. Guys, anything else? Missing monsters in meta as tier 1 or 2 depends. I would like my personal opinion is if it's point slam monsters like Thrive, then no, I don't miss it. If it's something interesting like Death Wish, then yeah, that would be nice. I'm not sure about you guys.
What again?
Do you miss monsters being tier 1 or tier 2?
Oh, I think some of the people from my chat know my experiences with monsters. I used to like playing a lot of point slam monsters such as Woodland and Gonokora, because Gonokora was the first deck that I got to 2.6k with on ladder. And yeah, I had my own Woodland Shoop deck back in the day. I also got over 2.5k. So yeah, I miss those days with those decks.
Yeah, I don't miss Gurney. Like, we have Harmony now. It does the same thing. It just slams points.
I mean, yeah, I think we'll get there where monsters are back where it's supposed to be. I think they're working on it, especially with the last expansion we had, or the last patch. Yeah, no hurry. I think we're enjoying playing some other decks.
Yeah, but every now and then they have an interesting deck. We had Vampires shortly after the reworks, which was nice to see. We had Death Wish for a moment, which is always also nice. Okay, I think that's gonna be the last question. Crozer asks, if you were a Gwent card, what faction would you be in and what ability would you have?
A faction. I'd probably be a monsters faction. A card, believe it or not.
I'd probably be Skellig. I like Heimdall's ability. It's basically like almost like Great Oak, just damage random enemies.
Voldy's idea for you, Jess, is Skellige, 15-point body, 14 provisions, do nothing. What a lad.
15 for 14, hey.
Value. I don't think I need to answer that question. Everyone knows that I'll probably be a Novigrad card. Okay, guys, if we'd card for wise order gain zeal. What? Anyway, if we don't have any decent questions, then I think it's the plug time where you are allowed to sell out all the way you want. So where can our viewers find you? Oh wait, there's another question. We're gonna answer that because I said that before and I missed it. What do you think they plan with artifacts next? Slama was winking, just like when Merchants of Novigrad launched stealthily. Because I remember the wink. Take the time to think, because I what I want to say is I talked to Crozer before his episode and he said, oh, the artifact update is gonna be huge. They're gonna probably change other things and the way we interact with artifacts and stuff like that. So we did expect something massive when it comes to artifacts, and it did not happen. So maybe they're just stalling right now. Just okay, we didn't do anything this time around, but we have plans. So wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We are gonna do something next patch.
Bring back the Hill Kappa.
They half-assed it? Yeah, they did.
Merchants of Negativity.
So yeah, guys, artifacts. I think it mostly revolves around the scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
So
and Bombheaver being like the cheapest artifact removal unit.
It's very odd.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I have no idea why they changed that to begin with. Why would you want to be able to remove such a strong unit? I think they want to make it high risk, high reward, but maybe that's why nobody's really playing artifacts anymore, because at some point everybody just started running that artifact removal card for next to nothing. So yeah.
Yeah, I still like the idea that Panda presented during the podcast. Make them lower provisions, significantly lower the power output, so if they get removed, so be it. If they stick, you are gonna get value, but not as insane as now, so everyone should be happy. At least we're talking about scenarios, because other artifacts are much more difficult to discuss, because there's so many of them, and very few of them actually see play. I saw Oshimat playing a no-unit deck again.
Of course.
It doesn't surprise anything.
Bing says armor for health in artifacts alongside dedicated removal. Interesting concept.
Yeah, but then you have cards like Iris that will just nuke the artifact and get insane value out of it, so no.
I hear you. Yeah, that would just be another card you have to have in your deck every single time.
And then you have cards that swap armor with power, and since artifacts have no power, just remove it as well.
Yeah,
I mean, the other day I saw someone playing no units in Novigrad with Cadaverine.
Cadaverine, oh my goodness.
With also spears, ale, and there was, what's that potion that boosts by 3? That blue potion.
There's 2 blue potions.
The bronze.
They're both bronze.
3 twice.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Thunderbolt. Yes, and Scorch. And he had Black Blood. So yeah, I had like nothing on the board.
You lost to a Novigrad no unit friend?
Yes, because I was playing Syndicate and I couldn't keep up with tempo in round 1. Had to give him the round. So he had final say round 3 with
Okay,
Imperial
so
Formation.
I assume he disguised himself as a proper deck.
Yes.
Oh yeah, that's the way to do it. You think, oh, it's just a regular deck, and then round 2 it's mill or no units.
Uh-huh. I thought it was just soldiers.
Sneaky, sneaky. Okay, guys, now it's really the time for the last segment, which is Black's sellout time. Jess, Tia, where can our viewers find you if they need to do so?
Okay, my Twitch is MissLadyJay. It's just MissLadyJay. My Twitter is MissLadyJ_0 because someone has already stolen my name. If you want Instagram, it's Jess May, MAIJ, not MAY. I don't have YouTube, so don't even try and look for me on YouTube, even though my chat might say that, but I don't. I never use it. And that's all. And my Discord, which someone might give a link because I don't have the link right now. That is all.
Yeah, your turn.
Okay, it's basically the same. Don't do YouTube. Don't have the time or the energy. So you can also find me at my Twitch name, which is just below Tia Beastie. And you can there find all my other info. But yeah, my Twitter would be Tia Boysen, Booysen. Trying to keep it formal. That's about it. Yeah, it's been fun, Wesenberg. Thanks very much for the podcast. I apologize for my lack of quality. Very hard.
It's okay. Okay, Villa, it's your turn. Villa, where can people find you? Where can we find you, for God's sake?
In our hearts.
In our hearts, yes. Villa's Villa, again. Okay, guys, if you don't really have to look far if you want to find me because you are in my channel. So I'm going to take this one to promote everything we do for the podcast. So instead of promoting myself, there is a couple of links in the chat. If you want to stay in touch off stream, you can do so on Twitter at Novigrad Podcast. We do early announcements on Discord, so you can join as well. And all the episodes are available on YouTube, Spotify, and also Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. And of course, if you want to get notified whenever the podcast is live or whenever I'm live, you can follow me here on Twitch. Because as you can see, that's where the podcast is being held, for the time being at least. So yeah, guys, I think that's everything. Thanks for being here. Jess, Tia, thanks for being on this episode. Really appreciate it. Villa, thank you as well for not showing. Good job, my friend. We'll talk later. And yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for chatting with us today. We are gonna raid somebody in a couple of seconds. So have a great Saturday. And we'll see you next time.